So Jimmy Kimmel was doing it. He was doing it too.
Yeah, he was doing it too.
Yeah. No, he was being accused of joking about it too.
Yes. So they were upset at him, even though he was attacking the appropriate person. He was doing it in a manner which is also construed as being transphobic. Like they were saying that his tweet is transphobic. He's a comic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, he used to host the Man Show. I mean, he's done some pretty outrageous shit back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, for hee-hees and haw-haws.
No, that's a good joke on top of a good joke.
Yeah, it's a good joke. Funny thing to say. He's had a real problem with Elon from the beginning of this thing, but it's like he's in this leftist thought bubble. He is in the most leftist thought bubble available, which is
Now, let's turn our attention to Jimmy Kimmel. Not just as a late-night host delivering jokes, but as a figure whose career has recently taken a sharp downturn. We're talking about his clashes with Elon Musk, criticism from Joe Rogan, and the hypocrisy that has become impossible to ignore. This isn't your usual comedy segment. This is a story of cancel culture, free speech, and the decline of a career that once thrived on authentic humor, but now often leans on safe, politically charged quips. Take a step back. Kimmel co-hosted The Man Show. Remember that? The humor was raw, unapologetic, and unfiltered. Nothing was off limits. Back then, Kimmel didn't worry about identity politics, public backlash, or Twitter outrage. His focus was on one thing: making people laugh. Pure, unrestrained comedy. Love him or hate him, he embraced the chaos. He was fearless, even a little wild, and his reputation grew because of it. That's exactly why ABC eventually gave him his own late-night program. For the energy, audacity, and ability to captivate an audience with comedy that didn't overthink itself.
In that case, do you think that's him or a writer? Can't you tell?
Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
No, it's him, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
good. That's a good one.
He's a comic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, he used to host The Man Show. I mean, he's done some pretty outrageous shit.
The most striking change, however, is how unrecognizable today's Jimmy Kimmel is compared to the one from 20 years ago. The comedian who once lampooned everyone and everything is now constrained by politics. Night after night, his shows often feel like political messaging rather than comedy filled with clever punchlines. Kimmel has shifted from entertainer to spokesperson for the modern progressive movement. Ironically, some of the very people he's trying to appeal to have turned against him. A prime example, his brief Twitter exchange with Elon Musk. Musk's infamous tweet, "My pronouns are prosecute Fauci," combined sharp social commentary with trademark trolling. And yes, it was funny in that cutting, viral Musk style. Kimmel fired back with, "Your pronouns are asshole." Bold, yes. Humorous, absolutely. It was a solid comeback, but that's when things spiraled. His progressive fan base accused him of transphobia, even though the joke targeted Musk, not transgender individuals. Think about that for a moment. Jimmy Kimmel, long considered a champion of woke culture, is now ridiculed by the very audience he courted for daring to make a pronoun joke. Context didn't matter. Nuance didn't matter. The mob's only goal was to dictate what could and could not be joked about. And once that beast is fed, it never stops.
That sort of self-censorship and the idea of being a more empathetic person is a good thing, right? But as long as it's reasonable. But the thing is, the problem with that kind of stuff is it continues to go in the same direction where more and more things become forbidden and toxic, to the point where, you know, the Elon Musk joking around about "my pronouns are prosecute Fauci." Jimmy Kimmel made a tweet back to him. He said, "Your pronouns are ass and hole," which is pretty funny. But then
Did he really?
Yes. And so then I read that, and there was people saying, "Please don't joke about pronouns. It's transphobic to joke about pronouns." So they were chiding him for participating in a joke about pronouns.
This is where Joe Rogan enters the story. He highlighted a glaring inconsistency, stepping into the role of an unofficial arbiter of free speech. For years, Kimmel acted as the left's attack dog, mocking conservatives, Trump supporters, and anyone who strayed from the progressive narrative. When the mob targeted his adversaries, he cheered it on, but then the tables turned, and to his surprise, he no longer enjoyed it. Rogan was blunt. Years of censorship cannot be justified simply by blaming others for the backlash. Free speech isn't something you control. It exists whether you support it or oppose it. Kimmel, of course, chose a side. He ridiculed Elon Musk and other champions of free expression, and now the consequences are coming for him. Let's examine Kimmel's fixation on Musk. Their conflict isn't new. Kimmel has long criticized Musk, and why? Because Musk dared to do what Hollywood wouldn't. Musk argued that people shouldn't be banned from platforms like Twitter for expressing unpopular opinions, essentially allowing a spectrum of viewpoints in a free speech forum. To Kimmel and many of his peers, that was extreme, even heretical. As a result, Musk became a recurring target of Kimmel's monologues night after night as Kimmel continued to lampoon the entrepreneur for daring to challenge the norms of Hollywood-approved speech.
Because he's willing to put people on with uncomfortable opinions, and he's releasing people that were banned from Twitter because of things that they had said. He's like, as long as you haven't done anything illegal, I'll let you back on.
No, yeah.
So he's doing a lot of that. So a lot of people are upset by that because then they think, well, you're platforming bigots and hateful people, and it's a weird conversation.
Here's the core issue. Musk remained steadfast. His intensity only grew as he restored voices previously silenced on Twitter, showing no intention of backing down. The left panicked, while many observers remarked, at least this person supports free speech. Meanwhile, Kimmel and his late-night peers were frustrated, resentful, and, frankly, envious. Add in Kimmel's personal scandals, most notably his past blackface sketches, and it's clear why he was on edge. When those clips resurfaced, he scrambled to manage the fallout, expressing regret, reversing course, and trying to prove his commitment to wokeness. According to Rogan, this sequence of events broke Kimmel, prompting him to overcorrect. In an effort to save his career, he transformed into a full-fledged progressive crusader, a move that makes sense given his ongoing attempts to position himself as one of the good ones. The problem? Even now, one poorly received joke and the very audience he courts can turn on him.
He's had a real problem with Elon from the beginning of this thing, but it's like he's in this leftist thought bubble. He is in the most leftist thought bubble available, which is Hollywood. And, and I think also, he famously, there's some videos of him in blackface, and those came out, and he had apologized for them, and I think he took that hit and really doubled down in the other direction. I mean, that's just speculation. But he, now is a guy that goes after people like Elon Musk.
This brings us to the most pressing issue, comedy itself. Both Joe Rogan and Rob Schneider have weighed in on this. Comedy is meant to push boundaries and sometimes make audiences uncomfortable. That's part of its purpose. Silencing comedians over a bad joke, or even one that's deliberately edgy, is counterproductive. The proper response should be better jokes, sharper critiques, or simply choosing not to laugh. That's how free speech functions. Kimmel and much of Hollywood, however, have embraced the opposite approach, censorship. And as we watch unfold in real time, that very restriction is beginning to suffocate comedy itself.
Capitalist pressure. Capitalist pressure is really important because what happens is you have to make money or you have to do something of value so that you can get something in return. Now, the interesting thing is, it's false advertising because honestly, I mean, look, Jimmy Kimmel can be funny, and I don't mean to take anything away from that, but the fact of the matter, can you remember a political joke that went viral, what was something really funny of his? There was no attempt in humor at all in what he said. And as a matter of fact, it was a lie. Now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix, this isn't cable, this is broadcast TV.
Think about it. When was the last time a genuinely funny Jimmy Kimmel joke went viral? One that wasn't political but simply hilarious on its own merit? Exactly. You can't remember. The humor has been replaced by lectures. And who wants to watch lectures at this hour? No one. As a result, his ratings are declining. Advertisers don't want to promote a host who alienates half the nation. Sponsorships have dropped sharply. After one of Kimmel's most recent smear campaigns, 246 local stations refused to broadcast his show, a rarity in American television. Nearly every station agreeing, nope, this guy has gone too far. That's never happened before. Kimmel is not just polarizing. He's no longer a credible businessman. Anyone familiar with television knows the real power lies with the advertisers. Once they walk away, the show is effectively over.
Broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public. And to get that license, you have to be in the interest, like you said, of the public. And so that's why when there's a news van parked in the white zone, they don't get a ticket, because they are there to present news, to inform the public in the public interest. So what happens is 25% originally was supposed to be the news to inform it, just to get that license. So when you absolutely lie to the public, then you are no longer in the public interest, like Jimmy Kimmel did the other night. Mislead and lie, and actually was something dangerous. So with the FCC chairman, he didn't say that he was going to pull the license. He was going to give them a warning and ask for an apology, if what I understood on the Benny Johnson.
And that's exactly what's happening. Kimmel has transformed his late night platform into a political soapbox, prioritizing propaganda over entertainment. Audiences aren't interested, and they're tuning out. Worse, by misrepresenting something as significant as the MAGA movement, which, like it or not, has the support of nearly half the country, he's alienating millions of potential viewers. This isn't comedy, it's career suicide. To add another layer, there's the FCC. Broadcasting nationally requires a license granted to serve the public interest. When a platform is used to spread misleading information, defame others, and mislead viewers, it no longer fulfills that obligation. Kimmel's actions put him and his show at risk on multiple levels.
When 246 different stations around the country say we're no longer airing this, it's because they heard from their consumers, they heard from their customers, and they said, that's it, we're not doing it. And so Nexstar, who's a great guy over there, Sean Compton, said, that's it. He's the CEO, and said, when we have complaints like this, and none of the channels, 246, because I'm sorry, it's not just LA and New York, there are people in between who have a real sense of decency, and who realize that what you had here was you had someone who wanted to have conversation.
Kimmel became a victim of his own choices. He went too far, prompting even regulators to step in and issue warnings. Yet, instead of taking responsibility, Kimmel and his supporters tried to frame it as a moral stance. Sorry, but 246 stations disagree. The numbers don't lie, and the audience isn't buying it. What's the takeaway here? The lesson is clear. If you build a career on comedy, free speech, and edgy humor, then abandon it for political influence, you will fail. The censorious crowd will eventually turn on you, and your audience will walk away if you prioritize activism over entertainment. Jimmy Kimmel is living proof of that reality. He is no longer a comedian. He has become a cautionary tale. But perhaps there's a silver lining. Maybe audiences, comedians, and entertainers are starting to notice and grasp the true value of free expression. Always, not just when it's convenient. Comedy needs space to breathe, and hypocrisy will inevitably be exposed. Rogan is right. Schneider is right. More speech, more debate, and more humor, not less, are the only ways forward. So, what's your take? Was Jimmy Kimmel self-sabotaging, or did politics force him to abandon comedy? More importantly, do you think late-night humor can make a comeback, or is it doomed to be another vehicle for political messaging? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, click like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. You won't want to.